Hi, this is Stieg Strand with RE/MAX Results. I'm here to talk a little bit about the National Association of Realtors settlement that happened on Friday for $418 million. It's a lot of money, and there's a lot of mucky, weedy stuff in the 108 pages. The first thing I want to say is it's proposed. It has not been approved. It has to be looked at by a judge, and I believe the Department of Justice as well, because it has a lot to do with consumer protection, etc. By the way, the current model that we've been under, the consumer-oriented representation model, has been in place, for between 30 and 40 years, and so we can get into that, a different time. But more importantly, the model is going to change, but not much, at least initially. So let's just look at what we know will change, or what has changed, or what the Realtor Association has, quote, agreed to. First one is the buyer co-op or the cooperating brokerage percentage that is put on a listing will no longer be on the MLS. It will not be advertised on the MLS. A seller can still pay it, and if they want a buyer broker to be compensated by that commission, but it cannot be put on the MLS. It can be put elsewhere, however, on a third-party website, on an email, on an advertisement, but it cannot be put on the MLS. Now, that doesn't sound like a big change, but it is in some context, because the original buyer co-op idea, the concept is it's a blanket, yes, we will pay this much no matter what, to a buyer broker who agency that writes an offer, and we accept it on our house. And here in the metro, Minneapolis, St. Paul metro, we saw cooperative pays from the low 2% up to 3, and maybe even a little bit above 3 for the last number of years, and that's fluctuated back and forth. So there will be no cooperative pay percentage, or dollar amount for that matter, stated on the MLS, but it could be stated elsewhere. Now, what is that going to do to the marketplace? I don't know at the moment, but I do have a little bit of a thought about it at the end. But I think most importantly, we need to understand cooperative fees, buyer broker fees, real estate commissions are going to be charged in the exact same way, but they won't be advertised the exact same way on the MLS. So that's different. So the second point is sellers can decide what concessions or commissions to pay on any purchase agreement. So for instance, let's say they have a purchase agreement for $200,000 and one for $195,000. Well, they can decide if they want the $200,000 one, they can choose that one. Well, that one is asking for a commission to be paid. And they can obviously deduct that from, and process that information and decide whether they want to accept that or not. Or they want to say, yeah, we'll be happy to pay that commission. What can be done on the MLS and what can be done already, and the only difference is now we're kind of expanding the normal vision of what it is a concession. And a concession is any dollar amount that the seller pays for the other party. So in this case, the buyer. And concessions can go back and forth, but almost always it's a seller that concedes something to the buyer. Generically, those concessions have been in the form of a percentage or a dollar amount to lower their closing costs. Well, inside this settlement has the ability to, and it does make sense, for a dollar amount can be paid inside the concessions, but it can be paid to the brokerage as commission. So commissions could be simply inside the concession dollar amount. A concession dollar amount can be advertised on the MLS. So is it kind of 6 of this and half a dozen of the other? A little, but it is somewhat different because it can't just be for commission. So for instance, if it said the concession is $8,000, it's not assumed, nor should it be, it has to be negotiated for that to be part or all of, or any of that concession to be a commission. So, and it also has to be in the purchase agreement. So some purchase agreements can have it in there and some may not. Some agents may put it in, some may not. I don't know, how that will work. And that's kind of where it comes to number 3, which is, what will this really do? It will put more pressure on the agents to be competent to actually know what they're doing. And because one of the reasons, and I think this is very, very healthy overall, is that if they're not competent and they can't negotiate on their behalf or aren't worthy, so to speak, of the commission, they may not get one. And so prior to that, the old model, the buyer cooperative commission, if you bring in a buyer, we accept the offer, it's automatically paid. The new model is ask me for commission, please, or maybe we'll concede something and it may include commission. So that model is different. So I believe that once some of these other minor issues get worked out as far as procedurally, I think it will actually drive or increase the competency of real estate agents. And so I think that is an overall positive. Otherwise, there's a couple of other minor things that are, that are in there, but when there's 108 pages that has to be looked at, there will be further updates. But at this moment, you know, when you look at the media reports and so on and so forth, it just seems like the sky is falling and real estate agents will, be starving to death, and sellers are going to, whatever. But in the end, these are small amounts of money compared to the amount of equity that a seller has received or gained, and they're not huge dollar amounts. Could this drive commissions down? Absolutely. It could drive commissions down at some point in the future. At the moment, however, we just don't know exactly what that will look like, nor do we know how much it will look like. Where will those commission dollars go? Most likely, they will go from the buyer brokerages and or discount brokerages who are already doing some sort of discounted model in order to, quote, benefit the buyer or the seller. Um, and so that will be where most of the emphasis will be, is being able to charge less or being forced to charge less, but it will be most likely taken out or seen in the context of the buyer broker commission. So there you have it. Hopefully that wasn't too long.